Chad, thank you for joining the podcast.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How's AFP been so far?
It's Icon. We're back in person, seeing people you haven't seen in 3 years. So it's been fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand you're speaking tomorrow, talking about events.
Yeah, I'm doing a session called Productive Events. We're kind of talking through, the last 2 years have been a little challenging for events. So maybe we made some changes and now we maybe can go back to normal, but do we want to? Really looking at those true purpose of events and taking this as an opportunity, not just, I can't wait to go back to doing what we always did.
Yeah, I'm really curious about, because I feel like a lot of really good lessons were learned in the pandemic for organizations. And early on we heard about a lot of success stories of organizations who went hybrid or who went virtual. And so I'm curious as well to see if it's gonna stick around. It's all good. We can. His phone is off. I'll kind of start. Yeah, you didn't hear that probably, huh? Okay, cool. That's all good. I'll wind back a little bit. Something I've been very curious about is now that events are possible to do in person, will nonprofits go back to that? And one of the things in particular I'm interested in is specifically around galas. I think like the beauty of what happened over the pandemic was that people were able to reach a much larger audience
For sure.
with their events.
Yep.
And if they go back in person, are they going to keep that digital component of the event? And
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts?
We're definitely right in the midst of exploring that right now. I mean, many groups are going back to what I did before, or I can do in person. They're super excited. The virtual hybrid kind of thing, it took a lot of work to learn, and not everybody loved it. Not everybody's that digital native or had that training. They had to hire somebody or figure it out real fast. So I see a big retreat of people wanting to go back. But we also taught our donors that we can do these virtual events. There can be other experiences.
Yeah.
So a quick story, I had a client in the fall. They took their gala back to in-person, and they got about half the audience. Not everybody was comfortable yet, but they wanted to. And then they had the other half of the audience say, remember last year when we did that virtual event? You sent me wine and showed up online, and there was a sommelier that walked me through a wine tasting or something, and I sat on my couch in my pajamas and I still paid you $250. Yeah, I want to do that again. I like that. I don't have to put the tux on, give up my Saturday night. And I'm seeing that, they'll still come to some things, but maybe they want that option.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking like we need something in our portfolio that kind of appeals to both.
To both, yeah.
And our other big side too is this hybrid word of like, doing the in-person but having the online component, and I can join in. And it's just really, really hard to do well.
Yeah.
Not having somebody feel like they're left out. And it's usually the virtual folks. Like you can't just put up a camera in the back of the room and say,
Call it
It's more like producing a 30-minute television show.
Yeah. Yeah, to do it right, it's a lot more challenging. But I think the interesting thing is galas require so much work around the programming, right? Like usually exclusive content's created, for the events, whether it's video format or whatever it might be, a lot of time and effort. And it's a bummer that it only 200-300 people get to experience it over, and so what's nice about the sort of hybrid approach is a lot more shelf life, a lot more eyeballs on it.
Accessibility and equity. I mean, those are kind of the two things. Like anybody can get to it, much broader audience. Our sponsors are happier because they, get much more reach. You can actually play their 30-second commercial in the middle of your gala without having to rent $5,000 worth of equipment to do it, actually in the ballroom. And we just have all this shelf life.
Yeah.
And I mentioned accessibility and equity, so anybody could get to it.
Yeah.
And it's not just, people that might not be fully able to, but also folks, when I was a development director, I would have donors that said, I'd love to come to your gala, but I just don't drive at night, so I'm not going to go home. So they could do it.
Yeah.
And on the equity side, anybody could attend. It wasn't, I can't afford the $250 ticket. The virtual events had much different pricing options.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So your company, Productive Fundraising,
right.
Talk us about your core kind of focus.
So we do fundraising training and coaching, primarily focusing on small to mid-sized shops, and have a kind of some key niches, a lot in the library field and museums as well. So,
Okay.
and we do a lot of virtual training, board training, those kind of things, and we have a free monthly webinar series, which has proven to be pretty popular. So,
what was the jump from being on the front lines as a development director to more of the coach trainer?
Yeah, kind of fell into that role. I was doing my dream job. I was the executive director of a United Arts Fund. I'm a former band geek, so I loved being that talking head that would come on stage at the beginning of the concert and tell you to turn off your cell phone, which I failed to do at this interview. I know you guys are going to take it out, but just epic fail there. So I was loving that, raising mostly corporate money for the arts in my community. And got really involved with AFP, became a chapter president, started getting asked to speak, learned that I love speaking because that's like a rehearsed performance, just like marching band was, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And then the more you speak, people just say, hey, will you come into my shop and work with us? And fell into it and learned I love that too. And about 5 years ago, I had to make the hard decision of, which way.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
But can't totally stop, so I still volunteer and fundraise for some causes in my community as well.
Cool.
So, yeah.
What would you say are some of the biggest gaps that you see as you work with clients and on training development directors that you're helping?
Yeah, I think I can approach that two ways. Like, there's definitely sometimes a knowledge gap in fundraising, especially it's so hard to find, a knowledgeable fundraiser. There's definitely more opportunity than there are people. So a lot of times folks will hire for, passion and just, somebody they know that can be a good relationship builder.
Yeah.
And then kind of teach that skill set later. So we do a good bit of onboarding coaching work that way. But usually that's fixable. Like I say, I can't fix passion. You got to have that.
Yeah.
I can't make you a people person. You kind of got to have that. We can do the skills.
Yeah.
But the other side I see too is people that just struggle with like how to work, like how to manage myself, like all this emails and meetings and skills. And now with the whole virtual and at home and like, it's just this how to handle everything.
Yeah.
And time, energy, attention. So I'm a bit of a productivity nerd as well. So I love helping people with that with some suggestions and tips as well.
Awesome. What are you looking forward to the remainder of 2022, whether it's new projects that you're working on or something new you're trying out with your business?
Yeah, well, I'm just excited to finally be back out on the road.
Yeah.
So I typically travel once a month to a random AFP chapter or, Iowa Museums Association, something like that for conferences, and that really revs me up and keeps me moving. So the road show is back on, and here we go.
Nice.
So, so looking forward to seeing people out and about anywhere. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. All right, I got some rapid fire questions for you. So don't worry, no right or wrong answer here, but we'll start with, are you more of a movies or series guy?
I'm going to opt down and go podcast, but if you force me to turn the screen on, I'll say series.
Series, okay. Yeah. So what's your top 3 favorite podcasts?
Ooh, that is really hard. I love stuff in that productivity space, being a productivity nerd, so I'll go with Asian Efficiency. So it's great tips, excellent hosts, good folks.
Awesome, cool. Tacos or cheeseburgers?
Tacos.
Beach or the mountains?
Mountains. Scout leader.
Mountains. Yeah. Oh, yeah? And you're fine with the cold?
Yeah, there's no such thing as too cold. It's just wrong gear. Yeah. I try to hike about 20 miles a week. So.
Wow. Digital reading or an actual book?
I do like the actual books, but they're just hard to carry around, so I'm more digital. I always have the Kindle with me.
Or maybe a the audio?
Yeah, but I have too many podcasts, so I don't have enough room for the audio books.
Ice cream or froyo?
It's got to have bacon on it if I'm going to eat it. I have no sweet tooth, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All savory, huh?
Yeah, so I like the jalapeno kettle cooked chips. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
whole bags, just going to eat it at once. Yeah.
Next time we'll have a bag for you.
Right,
Sitting here. Football or football?
Football. Go Steelers.
Go Steelers. Last one, Moana or Aladdin?
Both good. I'm going to go Aladdin because I remember being 12 when it came out and seeing it in the theater, and it was awesome. That kind of took animation to another new level. And I saw the Broadway production on Broadway, and it was pretty cool. I still don't know how the genie came out of the floor. Mystified.
Mystery, still a mystery.
Yep.
Still a mystery.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast again. Look forward to having more conversations in the future.
Sounds great. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.